The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised. Good morning, you guys, or good afternoon, evening, whatever you guys are watching. I appreciate you guys joining in. My name is Kwame, and I am a brand strategist, digital marketer, executive producer, all that jazz. And so I'm super excited to have you guys on tonight. We're going to be talking about a couple of things. First and foremost, to niche or not to niche? That is the question, as Shakespeare would say. So a lot of things, as far as business goes, revolves around niching. And you may have heard this topic of a lot throughout, your business career, throughout working with brands or any type of business or whatever. And so niching is basically the just kind of narrowing down a segment of the market. And we'll get into it a little bit more. But I wanted to first thank two of our sponsors, actually, to Kwame Speaks, Pyromedia Productions, the production company that puts all of this together, makes it all look pretty, and makes your boy look good. You know what I'm saying? And if you are just joining in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. The other sponsor we want to thank is also Bullet in Flight. Bullet in Flight Radio is the #1 progressive Christian radio station in the world. Your story, our station, as they say. And you can go over to www.bulletinflightradio.com to listen to 24 hours of nonstop entertainment and awesomeness. So thank you guys over there at Bullet in Flight Radio. And if you are listening on Bullet in Flight Radio, I want to thank you for being a listener. Appreciate you. We also want to thank one of our newest sponsors, The Coldest Water. The Coldest Water is offering 10% off on all of their products on their website. And you can go over to their website and use the link that I'm getting ready to throw inside of the code or inside of the chat right now. And you can go ahead and use that link, or you can use the QR code that's on the screen. And speaking of QR codes, we have another QR code from one of our other sponsors, audible.com. Audible is an Amazon company, and they are offering a 30-day free subscription, trial subscription to their Audible catalog, as well as you get 2 credits if you if you are already a Prime member and you sign up through us, or if you are not a Prime member, you get 1 credit. But you get full access to their premium catalog of wellness, guided wellness tours, audiobooks, Audible originals, and the like. So definitely check them out, and I'm going to go ahead and put the link in there. And if you are listening on Bullet in Flight Radio, you can go over to pyromedianetwork.com and grab, or even to Pyromedia's YouTube or Facebook or Twitch. Thank you guys for who are watching on Twitch. We appreciate you. Or our Twitter, and you'll be able to get those links as right there. So, like I said, today's show is going to be about to niche or not to niche. And so, what is a niche? So, a niche is a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of a product or service. And so that's what the Webster's Dictionary. And so oftentimes we look at different niches where there be entertainment. Hey, Sean, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're joining in. I appreciate you guys for watching. I know there's a lot of different shows and entertainment out there on YouTube that you could be watching, and I appreciate you for stopping by and or joining in on the journey. Appreciate you. So a niche. So a niche also is a solid market niche, helps ensure that specific customers will want to buy from your business instead of the competition. And a niche allows them to identify your product and brand and know that your offer suits their needs. So for example, if you are Perfect example. If you're a YouTuber and you are a planner YouTuber, where they have Happy Planners and they have Erin Condren and all of the other planners that are out there, then you would want to be a part of the planner community. And so if you are a part of the planner community, you would tend to lean towards those type of YouTubers. And then there's tech YouTubers, people who are into technology, showing off new cameras, showing off new technology, things that will apply to your business or brand or even just everyday life. So people who are into tech tend to lean to those type of YouTubers as well. And then we have entertainment YouTubers who are specifically into pop culture, or they are doing some type of music or what have you. So there's different type of niches and categories for those different types of for that one kind of, I guess, industry. Would in this sense it would be YouTube. So niches really help narrow down the subculture of your business, or the sub audience of your business rather. So it's really important to kind of really figure what that is and see how you can kind of apply to it. All right, so the history. You guys know I like to do my research. So it's important to do your research. So niche marketing involves outlining and understanding the needs and wants of customers in a small niche market segment. Niche segments are usually created by identifying needs and wants that are not addressed by the mass market or by other businesses. So, for an example, a niche market or an overall market would be let's see, makeup, cosmetics, right? And so that the niche market would be specific makeups that are shades that are for Black women. And so Fenty has done a phenomenal job and revolutionized the way to kind of really bring in more shades and popularize more shades, and and really identified a need within that market. Oftentimes, you had makeup companies that did not they cater more towards European colors and more Caucasians and lighter tones, and so that left the darker tones and Black women feeling invisible or looked over. And so companies like Fenty and even other companies thereafter started increasing their lines and adding more products to that. That is a niche. And so it can be revolutionary, when you do something like that. So that's one of the reasons why Fenty Beauty has been so popularized in the past couple of years. So how to approach content creation in 2023. And that's really one of the things that we're going to be talking about today, is how are we going to approach content creation in 2023, right? Because there seems to be, a question on whether we need to niche or not. Is there something I need to do? Do I need to really have a category? Do I really need to have a space where, I am specifically talking to one group to build that audience? Let's talk about it. So, in markets, narratives and angles matter. Okay, narratives and angles matter. Telling a story, specifically your story, allows people to feel included. They are able to see relation and possible connection. Your story matters, so tell it. So, what this is basically talking about is people are no longer looking for the pretty, right? People are no longer looking for the regular okie doke. People are looking for how they can relate to your brand or business. One of the reasons why people, like, for example, Fenty Skin, Fenty Beauty, why people gravitated towards it is because it told a story. Rihanna was that story behind it, right? And so the question was, how did she relate to people? She let people know that she was having issues finding cosmetics that were for her skin type and for her skin tone. And so how many Black women have had those type of issues? How many people of color have had those type of issues when it comes to the cosmetic industry? So she was able to relate to that, and she was able to help people relate to her business through her story, right? And so that is just one example of many different businesses and brands that are out there that really kind of help us understand what the story is behind everything. For example, Pyromedia Network. There was a reason why it was created. It wasn't just because I wanted to have a space to just kind of say my own stuff. I wanted to have a space for other creatives because I was noticing that when we were shopping, my old show that I had, Blaze Entertainment, which was the inaugural show that brought Pyromedia together and brought Pyromedia out into existence, we were having trouble shopping our show around. We were going to lose our creative control. We weren't going to be able to speak how we wanted to speak, be who we are authentically to ourselves. And so we wanted to create a space, because one of the things that we noticed is that other Black creators were having that issue too. There wasn't a lot of spaces that were being created to have our own voice, to have our own space. Now you see things like Fox Soul, you see like BET Black Voices, you see other things that are there to kind of expand the voice of people of color, specifically Black people in this particular case. And so that is one of the reasons why your story matters. Your story matters because I don't really care that you have a watch. I care that you created this watch line because the watch reminds you of the watch that your dad gave you before he passed away. I don't care if you have a you know, a clothing line. Everybody has a clothing line. Why is it important to you? That is now the shift in marketing that a lot of people are not really being able to do, because everybody wants to be something, right? Everybody wants to go into this space. But what are you bringing to the table that can help relate? Not that that's necessarily different, but what can you do, and what are you saying, and what are you doing that is helping relate to be authentically, number one, yourself, and also connect with a community, an audience. So speaking of community and audience, another thing that has been that is going to be setting it's kind of the new approach in 2023 for in the marketing world when it comes to a niche and not niching, and this whole niche movement is building community and not a building. So you want to build a community and not a building. Build community, not a building. People want to feel welcomed, and not just like they are a number. If your focus is on building your popularity through inorganic means or quick schemes to show imagery, then your focus is not right. Slow and steady wins the race. And this is a perfect example is church. Church is still an organization. Church is still a business. And so whether people want to believe that or not, it's still a place where people are communing, right? And so that is a space where you need to focus on necessary. And one of the reasons why the pandemic, was such a big detriment to a lot of churches and the church community as a whole is not necessarily because it stopped everything, but because it showed that the building wasn't as important as the community, right? And so when you are building these things, like for example, I've seen a lot of YouTubers who are successful. They're building community. They're engaging with their audience. They're not making their audience feel unwelcomed. They are connecting with them in some way, shape, or form. And so when you are there to just be yourself and you're there to be authentically you and invite your tribe to that space, then your community will grow. But if your focus is just in building numbers, if your focus is just in becoming famous, then people are going to see through that. People are going to see the work that you're not doing and engaging with them. People are going to see the lack of welcome that you're giving them, because that type of energy is felt. And I think now, especially in 2023, we're seeing a lot, especially in the marketing world, we're seeing a lot of people shift away from just the okie doke. Anybody can get, a production company, right? And if you get a skilled videographer, if you get someone who knows how to edit really well, then you're good to go when it comes to the visuals. But outside of the visuals, are you actually, what are your pillars? What are your core values? What are you doing to bring in community, right? And so I think moving forward, I think people need to understand that it's about welcoming your audience. It's about building community, and I'm noticing a lot more in churches that we're seeing that more, right? We're seeing the ones that are failing, the ones that are losing numbers, and the ones that are growing. And oftentimes, it's the ones that are growing that were the ones that were looked over. They were the underdogs, right? And so, and it's because they were focusing on building community and focusing on their mission as opposed to just looking pretty. And so we're seeing more and more of that today. And so speaking of that, our next thing is that we want to talk about, and why this is all super important in terms of building community and telling your story, is also to be authentic. Be authentic. Be unapologetically you. People gravitate to you because they like you, not the fake imagery you try to provide them. No one has it all together at all. Not one person. As much as I push my happy planner, as much as I try to do and work on the 5 Ps, and I have my prior planning prevents potential problems. I don't have it all together. My planner, I don't always accomplish everything that's in my planner or that I have planned out for the week, right? I don't always accomplish everything. And so that is okay. So if you are one way off the screen, then you are on the screen. People will either sense it or they will eventually see it through your actions. Truth doesn't take work to keep up with. And that was something that as I was reading that, it hit me because I'm noticing a lot of inauthenticity, right? A lot of focus and longevity doesn't happen when you're being fake. Longevity doesn't happen, and community building doesn't happen when you're being fake. And so, oftentimes, when we're focusing on trying to um, be something that we're not, things tend to crumble. And you have you put so much energy into trying to be something that you're not, and eventually it dissipates because there's no foundation there, right? You can't claim to be something if that's not who you are. And people don't really care. They don't want the okie doke. They want you. That's you. I always tell my clients, people are going to watch your show because of you. People are going to watch your reruns because of you. They don't care. They're not there they can watch anybody, right? They can watch literally anybody, but they're there because they like something about you. They're there because they care about you. And so you need to focus on you and your authenticity and being who you are, because the moment that you put that away, the moment that you forget about that is when things start to crumble. So I just wanted to get into that. I don't want to get on a soapbox for that. We don't have much time. So we're going to move on. And so the next thing that I want to talk about is to find a medium and stick with it. Whether it's blogging, podcasting, vlogging, or live streaming, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, find it and stick to it. Because I think a lot of people often fall off because they're busy watching everyone else. They're busy watching this person have this many views. They're busy watching this person do this thing. They're busy watching this person grow. They're busy watching this person have this many followers and that many followers and doing their thing. And the problem with that is that you are developing a space where you're not going to be authentic to yourself. And you're looking at someone else's chapter 10. When you're on chapter 1, that's your journey. That's your chapter 1. That's your space. But if you're looking at somebody else's chapter 10, you don't know what they did to get to that point. So you oftentimes people want to be at somebody else's level, but they don't know what it took to get there. And that may not be the journey for you. You may be in a different space. Your space may be on TikTok. Your space may be on YouTube. Your space may be on Twitch. Your space may be on LinkedIn. Your space may be a podcast, an audio only. Whatever it is, find it and stick to it. And if you're going to do multiple mediums, which is totally fine, find them and stick to it. Because oftentimes what I've noticed, is that people will do stuff and then they fall off. They're not consistent with it. And I am guilty of this. I'm preaching to the choir here. I have struggled trying to keep up with Kwame Speaks because I'm doing so much and other things, but I owe it to myself to do this on a weekly basis. I owe it to myself to this is what I want to do, and this is the brand that I'm trying to build, and I owe it to myself, and you owe it to yourself to push your brand. You owe it to yourself to bring your ideas to fruition. Because what I have noticed over the past 7 years with Pyro is that it grew. And it didn't happen because I just snapped my fingers. I put work into it. And the same thing is going to happen with Kwame Speaks. And the same thing happens with my TikTok following. I had 10 followers when I first started. and it grew to almost 10,000. So like it's constantly growing. So but I had to put work in. I had to do and be consistent. And so wherever your platform is, wherever your medium is, stick to it. And so yes, that's all I would say on that. We're going to take a quick commercial break because I want to get into the next topic, which is the anti-niche movement, which is really, really interesting to me. And it's been a really interesting situation to kind of view. A lot of people have seen the great, what was it? The great, not the recession, the great resignation, excuse me, the great resignation. And so that was a huge movement all of a sudden. But the anti-niche movement, because everybody was so big about find your niche down, niche. And that was a big thing around with a lot of other brand strategists pre-pandemic. It was all about niching. It was all about, but during the pandemic and towards the end of the pandemic, people started shifting. There was this anti-niche movement, and we're going to get into that a little bit right after this commercial break. So stay tuned, and if you are just tuning in, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you are just joining us, we are talking about to niche or not to niche. And first of all, thank all of our sponsors for supporting this channel as well as this video. So thank you so much to Bullet and Flight Radio, Pyromediaproductions, and Pyromedia Network. We appreciate you. All right, guys, let's get back into it. Prior to going to break, I was talking about the anti-niche movement, and all up in the first half, we talked about what is a niche, and why is niching important, and what has it brought to the marketing and business world thus far. And so I want to get into anti-niche and what the anti-niche movement is. And so the anti-niche movement is just kind of like a space where people are saying that there's so many multiple aspects and levels to you, right? And so there has been, for example, you may have a hobby where you are building, I don't know, you like to make planner inserts. Okay, for example, I love planning. I am a huge planner enthusiast, and I consider myself to be a part of the planner community. Shout out to the happy planners out there. Shout out to the Erin Condren planners and the like. But there's also other aspects of me that I enjoy, right? I am a brand strategist. I love marketing. I love producing. I love creative direction. And so that is another aspect of me and or my brand that is considered another niche. Another situation or another aspect of me is I love dance, right? I love performances, and that's another so there's multiple aspects and multiple things that you may want to pursue. And that's okay, right? And so what we've seen is that people have considered anti or niching to be putting themselves in a box, right? And putting themselves in a space where they are not able to get out of where they worked in, right? And so it's important to know that you can do multiple things and still tie it into your brand in some way, shape, or form, right? When we first started with Pyromedia, I'm using Pyromedia as an example, it was a podcast network. That's all I wanted to do. That was all I was focused on. But I also saw shifts in the media world, and I enjoy media. I enjoy video production. I went to school for it. And so audio was new for me. Like I was not an audio producer, right? And so until I went to school for audio production later on. But video was where my passion was. And so I saw a shift in the market before really hitting live streaming and all that stuff, whatever. And even before the pandemic, I saw live streaming becoming, that it was going to be the way to go. And so I wanted to work with, and incorporate that into the network. So we had more video casts, and we had more what we called video casts, and started shifting less from audio to video. Not to say that we don't have audio or audio shows or podcasts, but that was just a shift that we were doing. In addition to all of that, I saw other things that we were getting revenue from, which was brand strategy and working with businesses and business development and all that stuff. So I didn't want to, if I kept in a space where I only wanted to do podcasts and kept the network only a podcast network, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. And so we expanded into broadcasting and expanded into media and expanded into video production. And now we have a full-fledged production company. And so there was an expansion that happened. And if I kept myself in a box, we would not be able to be here. And so the anti-niche movement is not necessarily saying that niching is bad, but it's saying it doesn't have to be something where you have to lock yourself into. And I think it's important for us, like we said, to build community, because community involves not a bunch of the same people, but a bunch of different people within a space. And so different people have different needs, and which is one of the reasons why, we see networks that have different things. You don't go to Netflix and you see only one type of show or one type of movie. You see different types of genres. You see different types of needs for them. And so that's pretty cool. And so you want to be able to have that space for other people to kind of navigate through, right? And so people also ask, should I niche down? That's a big question. And that's a really good question. What do you do? I think personally, from a professional opinion, I don't think that you should. I think you should niche down in the sense that find your lane, because you don't want to go out there and say, "Oh, I built it." You don't want to be a jack of all trades and master of none, right? There's certain clients that have or leads that have come to Pyromedia, and I have turned them away or directed them and referred them to other people because they just weren't a good fit for us. And I feel like it's not about that. I was turning away money. It's just that if I'm going to be true to what I'm doing and true to the clientele that I want and that I desire and that I have, I can't be inauthentic to them. And so if I can't do something, I know several other people that can, right? And so it's important that when we're going into this, if you're thinking about building a business, a brand, or whatever, figure out what you want to do. Figure out the industry that you want to be in. Because of course you got to find how you're going to be different in that, right? And so, for example, if you wanted to create a lipstick line, there's hundreds of lipstick lines, right? There's hundreds of cosmetic lines that have lipstick and add to that. But how is your lipstick going to be different, right? And so, and how are you going to tell your story to bring about connection and relatability to that lipstick? But do you just stick to the people who are lipstick enthusiasts? Or do you expand to people who are interested or even possibly will be interested in that? Or maybe you get a specific shade because somebody likes purple. And now you have a line of purple lipstick within your niche. You're not now just focusing on lipstick enthusiasts. You're focusing on now people who are lipstick enthusiasts, but also like the color purple. Am I kind of making sense? You guys kind of see what I'm saying with this? And if you are, I appreciate you if you would go ahead and hit the like button and share this, and also invite people to let people know that they can watch this as well. Okay? So niching down is not necessarily a bad thing. but also doing too much niching to where you are in a space where you're not connecting with anyone, where you're in a space where you're not, where you're kind of closing people out and you have this exclusive club. Perfect example, actually, really quickly. Clubhouse. When Clubhouse first came out, it was only available to people with iPhones. Now, I understood why, because I have an iPhone myself. That's here nor there. But I also understood that that closed out a big market. Whether people want to admit it or not, whether iPhone users want to admit it or not, Android has a big market, and a large following, right? There's a lot of people that have Android. There's a lot of people that utilize Android. And so, specifically Samsung. So and in addition to that, it was an audio platform, right? Clubhouse is an audio platform. And you can only get in if you were invited by someone else. So that's further niching down the space. And so, although it built community, I met some phenomenal people on there, and I'm still friends with to this day. Although that is a space to grow, it was a great idea. The problem then became when they opened everything up, it was already done. People were already over it because it was like, oh, well, you niched it down too much to the point where you closed a lot of people out, and that turns people off. Nobody wants to feel rejected. Nobody ever wants to feel like they're in a space that they're not welcomed or wanted. And so think about that as you're building your brand, your business, or you're coming up with an idea, or if you're a hobbyist or whatever. Think about how you can include people and be inclusive in your movement, be inclusive in your business and brand, and how your product is going to service and or include other people in it and market it the best way that they can. Listen, guys, I talked a lot today, and I hope that you gain value from this. If you would consider, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and just enjoying, just being a part of this little corner of the world here. And if you are interested, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to my personal YouTube page, which is youtube.com/@Kwame Speaks. So definitely check that over there, because I do upload videos that are separate outside of pyromedia that are specific to certain things that were within my niche. So definitely check that out. And I want you guys to stay tuned to Kwame Speaks, because I have a very, very special surprise coming up in the next week or so. And I can't talk about it yet, but I am giving an exclusive here. So definitely stay tuned for that. And if you are listening on Bullet and Flight Radio, head over to pyromedianetwork.com, and also to my channel at youtube.com / Kwame Speaks. So I would appreciate you if you would do that. Also, you guys can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Kwame Speaks, and Instagram at Kwame_speaks. I hope to see you guys over there. I have a lot of fun on TikTok, so definitely follow me on there. I'm not as active as I used to be on Twitter, but please feel free to subscribe on there as well. I always check all of my DMs and inboxes, so you can always do that. And you can find me on Facebook as well as Instagram. So I'm most active on Instagram and TikTok, so check me out there. If you need to contact me directly, you can go to www.pyromediaenterprises.com. And I do have my website. It's kwamecorbett.com, but it's getting an upgrade, so stay tuned for that. And if you have any business inquiries regarding Kwame Speaks or the KC3 agency, if you need productivity development, if you need business development, if you need organizational training and or tips and consultations, you can email me at kwamespeaks@outlook.com. That's kwamespeaks@outlook.com. I am so excited for you guys to hear all of the things that are coming to Kwame Speaks and or to my brand, and the special surprise that I have. But I want to also thank you for joining in today. If you are listening, like I said again, on Bullet and Flight, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a part of this little Kwame family. I appreciate you guys. And I want to thank you guys. And if you are tuning in, if you are listening on after this live, tune in and be sure to tune in for Pyro Power Hour tomorrow morning with my brother, Kyrie Sanaj. We co-host, which is the flagship show of Pyro Media Network. And I'm so excited because it's going to be a good show tomorrow. We have a special guest, so definitely check it out. And I'm looking forward to next week's Kwame Speaks. So until then, create a great day, guys. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you. Like, love, and subscribe. All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye.